Hello, I think we're about ready to start here. It's 6:45 p.m. and Mountain Time, and time to go. Boy, the image seems brighter than normal. Um, Welcome to everyone on the live stream. I am Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with a live stream from the Ask Dave channel. And what we usually do on these live streams is people like to comment. We go through the comments, and if they have a question, we'll see what we can do to answer the question. Now, for some reason, the overhead video for the whiteboard is not working tonight again. It's sort of hit and miss whether it works. I don't know what to do to make sure it works every time. It's another webcam. The one I'm using here is a Logitech, and the one that I use up here is a Microsoft camera. So here we are. It is the last day of June. Okay. Now, we're not going to do the drawing tonight. We do the drawing the first live stream in the following month. So I've actually even put out a video asking for more entries. And we've got lots here, and there's still some down at the post office. So we'll get those and get that all squared away. And we'll have that live stream, or have that drawing in next week's live stream. I will, I guess tonight, go through my collection of stuff, of really neat stuff that I don't really use anymore. And we'll pick a giveaway for July, and I'll do another video that says, okay, sort of a July channel status saying this is what the giveaway is and how to enter and so on and so forth. So we'll do that every month as long as I can. I've got so much stuff in here that I don't use that I need to give away. I mean, a lot of this came to me, either were sent by manufacturers wanting me to review it, or I purchased with channel funds just so that I could do a review. And since you guys provide me with the channel funds, this is an opportunity to give back, and I sure appreciate it. For those who would like to add to the channel funds, there is something down at the bottom here of the screen. I don't think I can bring that up to the top. Yeah, I can, right here, where it says David Casler, say something. If you can put a comment right there. If there's emoticons there if you want. This dollar right here is a way to add funds to the channel funds if you would like. Now I want to point out, and I think this is important to understand, this is a free channel and I try to give free information. And if you are in a position to help support the channel and keep this thing going, great. If you're not, great too. I'm happy to have you. Happy to have you with me. We've got about 118,000 subscribers right now, and usually 150 or so people come and join us for the live stream at any given time. What happens is people sometimes come in for a few minutes and then leave, and still we get the word out to a lot of people. So the live stream is very different from the ordinary videos. In the videos, I have a question from somebody that can come in several ways. Some can send to hamradioanswers@gmail.com, which is the official way for questions, but I'm about 700 emails behind in there. Or you can send it to Ask Dave, all one word, at arrl.net. And as those come to me, that's the official way of asking a question for the ARRL QST column, Ask Dave. And so those come in there. And sometimes I find it easier just to simply provide a simple response. Yes, no, try this, something like that. Or I'll use it as in the column if it takes 2 or 3 paragraphs to answer. Or I'll make a video about it. And all of the videos that I do that start out by saying our question comes from are Ask Dave. They come from real people. These are real questions. Sometimes I will edit them a little bit to get to either the interesting part or the part that's complex or something like that. And then I get questions for which I flat don't know the answer. That does happen, and I'll say that. I'll say that I don't know the answer. So let's see what we've got in the way of comments. We've had quite a few people check in. First to check in was Optical Man Jeff, KE0OG. Says, hi Dave and all loggies from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it's 91 degrees and sunny. It is 66 degrees here, and it has been apparently raining. My daughter just came in from Denver today, and we've had a nice chat with her so far. She's staying with us through the holiday weekend. And it's so nice to have her here, and it's just neat. And so it's she said it rained all the way from Denver, so we've had a little bit of rain here. According to the meter here, 0.12 inches. So that's not much, but it's 0.12 inches more than we would have had. So we're grateful for it. We are in the midst of a terrible drought, and that affects the health of the forests. It affects everything, affects the farmers and so on. So we're doing the best we can to, hang on in the drought. So we're grateful for the rain. William Myers, KA0OG said, hello, G-I-M, yeah. Hello, Dave, and all Augies from Bruce, Wisconsin. And I'm going to put my glasses on here so I can see this. 79 degrees here in up north Wisconsin. And Bob Horsch says, hello, Dave, 73 from N7 RLV, Vashon Island, Washington. Hello, I understand you guys have been getting quite a bit of rain up there. The atmospheric river going on straight on over, getting even into Yellowstone and so on. Bob Horsch just discovered HF Mobile, parked in a quiet spot on the beach. My hamstick on the car roof works great DX. Amazed by this. Those hamsticks actually are very good antennas. They it's a compromise antenna, and the compromise is bandwidth. They won't cover the whole band, but they will perform about as well as a dipole, or in this case, where you're parked there, a vertical, using your car as the counterpoise, and the hamstick. They actually work very, very well. So good. And yeah, quiet spot by the beach. You'll have quiet RF conditions. That'll be great. Terry, 2 Echo 0 India Papa Kilo, says, hi, Dave, and everyone from a very warm London. And yeah, I can imagine. Well, this is the time of year for it. Chuck Schreiber says, good evening, Dave, and all Augies, and 5 KVO from South Texas. Looking forward to another class in ham radio. Been licensed ham 40 plus years, and thank you for all the knowledge you share with us. Well, thank you, Chuck. I learn a lot. The teacher always learns the most, right? Because I try, and I'm trying even harder now, because I've got that column in QST, and if you make a mistake there, oh boy. One of the things I asked for and got in my contract with the ARRL was that my article submissions would be peer-reviewed by a technically very competent person, and that's Zach Lau, and he's in the headquarters staff there, and he's caught me in a couple errors. So I'm trying to be equally careful with the Ask Dave videos that I don't say something stupid, because I'm, known for it. I make mistakes. So Chuck Schreiber says, good evening from South Texas. David Samsell. Hello, Dave and fellow Augies from Pennsylvania, AC3HT. Rev Red Wolf says, good evening, Dave, from the center of the sandbox, west of the Great Sand Dunes. Well, the Great Sand Dunes, if it's the Great Sand Dunes National Park, that's here in Colorado, in the San Juan Valley. There's a spot where the weather conditions are such that sand always gets dumped there. So we have our own sand dunes out there, and you're welcome to go out in the middle of them, because whatever tracks you make in them will be gone in a week or two. There's a little river that runs just to the south of the sand, and the river can't quite get beyond, the sand can't quite get beyond the river, because it gets washed downstream and then blown back up and around. So we have that great big pile of the sand dunes. Ed is K6SDW with breezy Sacramento. Probably warm there too. Neil Marsh, good evening, Dave, and from W7NRM in Chevy, ha like in hay, Chehalis, Washington. Okay, thanks for the pronunciation guide. Don Zed, hi Dave, and greetings from warming Minnesota, KC0DWZ. Working and playing with the Davenports. What is the difference between RigPi version 2 and 3 from KD2ZKZ? I'll have to leave it to a RigPi expert to talk about them, but as they go through the versions, what they are adding is more ports. They're adding better video. They're adding, one of the things they added was wireless. It used to be you had to connect it with a wired connection to your router. And so they've got wireless in there now, and I think they'll accept more memory. They have the same basic configuration as far as the input and output pins. I'm not sure which version Raspberry Pi this is, but the bottom of this hotspot, down on the bottom here, is a Raspberry Pi. This is a Raspberry Pi, and then this daughter board, I don't know, I'm sure there's a name for this in the Raspberry Pi universe, but they plug in to the top of this, and they've got all this I/O, so you can have this daughter board, which has a screen on it right here, to do the hotspot type stuff, and this has the RF on here to do the hotspot type stuff. And then you use the Raspberry Pi for protocol conversions and all of that sort of thing. They're nice little computers. Usually a person dealing with the computer likes to program. They're Linux. They're Linux based. So people will sell them as a complete unit. This is the one from it's Next Gen. This what I call the San Diego hotspot. NextGen.com makes this one. They're beautiful. I mean, and they're all exposed so that the nerd in you gets to see all of the parts that are in there. I've gotten another hotspot. I haven't reviewed this yet. Got this at Dayton. This is Bridgecom Systems, and there is a little antenna that you can screw in here if you want to make it look like a hotspot. It's actually the same thing. Look at the connections there and the connections there. This is a Raspberry Pi, and it's got a daughter board on it that makes this into this. Note that this has a much bigger display than the other one has. This is called the Skybridge, but it's a hotspot. This will do DMR, D-Star, and C4FM, and I think also P.25, and maybe some other modes like that. I mean, Bridgecom Systems mostly does DMR, but the little hotspots using the open source software and the open source designs that are out for this are they'll do quite a bit. They'll do quite a bit. They're not stuck just with DMR or something like that. Okay, let's see. So that was the RigPi question. In other words, I don't know a huge amount about them. But if you look up RigPi on Wikipedia, it'll go down through the versions and talk about what's in there. Anthony Becerra says, hi, Dave. Glenn Martin, hello from Far West Missouri. Have a great week from N0QFT. Treyfurt, shiver me timbers, I'm here. Well, welcome. Let's see. And James McDonough is watching from England. Neil Marsh says, ahoy matey to Treyfurt. John Phillips, hi Dave, watch from Grenada. Grenada is down in the Caribbean and quite a bit far down. I think the U.S. managed to invade that at some point quite a few decades ago. I never did quite figure out why, but I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure if I looked that up on Wikipedia, they'd have the ostensibly stated reasons for that. Had something to do with a medical school, and I'm just, my history's poor on that. Michael C. KI5VRJ from Lewisville, Texas. I note the spelling there, it's L-E-W-I-S, Lewisville, instead of L-O-U-I-S. I used to live in a town called, that was L-O-U-I-S-V-I-L-L-E in Colorado, and we pronounced it Lewisville rather than Louisville. And we could tell if somebody was from out of town because they'd call it Louisville. So, we've got Mike Oswald in the Augies from Alpha 7 Mike Oscar from Kirkland, Washington, 73 degrees in the mid-Puget Sound. Treyfurt is exchanging notes with Neil. David Fauser, how do we turn the 705 onto the Wi-Fi in the house? Okay, if the 705 hooks onto the Wi-Fi, and you will have to get into the menu system for the 705. It's probably in the connections menu. And in there, you need to give it the name of your local network, and you will need to also put the password in for that. That should connect it. There shouldn't be anything that you have to do special. And if it does run on Wi-Fi, I'm not that familiar with the 705, but that's how you would do that. You're going to have to go into the menu on that. Now, it's possible that there's a technique where you push a button on your new goodie, your new iPad or something, and then go push a button on your router and the link automatically. That may or may not have that in there. If it does not have that in there, you'll need to actually manually insert the wireless password. Okay. Life Under Gas says, hello. John Mills, hi Dave in the Augies, 17 degrees centigrade here in the Canary Islands at 1:50 a.m. Well, let's find out what is. Screen. What is 17CNF? 62. So that should be a very pleasant evening there in the Canary Islands. Hope you're not getting any more volcanoes. Let's see. I was coming from Kentucky this week. James Stoughton says, Jim, WA8HUB. Mike Oswald puts $10 into the channel funds. Thank you very much, Mike. He says he's our #1 fan. I appreciate that very much. My wife and I went to Dayton in the motorhome, and we did not put a fan in the bill of materials for the motorhome. And it was warm there, of course. And to get some air at night, we'd have the lid closed on the overhead vent for the bedroom area and turn on the fan there anyway, and it would blow up, hit the cover, and come down, and we'd actually get a little bit of air movement in there, which was very nice. We've since purchased a fan for the unit, believe me. When we went to field day, we took the motorhome up. My wife and I sort of made a trip out of it, and of course it got plenty warm there too. The motorhome, the air conditioner doesn't cool it down more than 2 or 3 degrees what it is outside. So it's a 6-year-old motorhome. I'm suspecting that the air conditioning needs service in that thing. It should do a lot better than that at cooling things down. Okay, let's see. Warren Baker says, hi Dave from WA4BAK. Electron Fun Factory says, hello from down south in North Carolina. Good to see you. I travel a lot and I use the ham stick with the tuner. Not ideal, but it covers the band. Yeah, with the tuner it will do that. And that's very good. It's amazing that how well those ham sticks work. Joe Tyson says, hello Dave from Apex, North Carolina, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and I imagine the humidity's up a little bit too. KM4WRQ. Here's Rob Horsch. To run 7300 remote over internet, do I require a wired PC, or will a Raspberry Pi or dongle work? Love your videos and live stream. I'll show you what will work. This is a device from MFJ, again, built on a Raspberry Pi. And you can tell that by looking at the things here that are on the Raspberry Pi, all the ways in and out. I think it's a Raspberry Pi 3. But all you have to do for the 7300 is connect a USB from here to the back of the 7300. And all these extra ports, which you need for different kind of radios, you don't need with this. Okay? And this, I believe, has wireless in it. So this connects with your router, and you can, from inside your house, from a phone, iPad, whatever you want, can control your 7300, or for that matter, essentially any rig. They've got all different kinds of connections. This is sort of an universal interface box here. And by setting up the right pieces of software on, say, another Raspberry Pi at the far end of the internet on another location, you can run your 7300. Now, you do not get the waterfall. Now, ICOM itself, let's just take a look over here while we're talking about the 7300, and we'll go into ICOM America. Okay, and well, it's moving with lightning speed, isn't it? Okay, we'll go to amateur. We'll go to the 7300 and specification options, product gallery, firmware software. See what it's got there. Okay, it's got some control software and time adjustment software. I'll have to look into that one. That's a new one for me. Okay, 2021-11, so that's not that old. Okay, so it's got all the drivers here, but there is software that you can use, and I believe it costs some money, that connects your computer to this, and then you can see on the screen everything that you see on this. Now, there is another thing that you can do that's ICOM. See if I've got it up here. I'm not sure I have it on my screen right now. It's I don't have it up here. Sorry. There's some, you want to bring that one back. There's some software. Okay, amateur. go to the amateur products, amateur, handheld radios, repeaters, and so on. Anyway, there's some software that you can run on your computer, connect to the internet, and then you can, from another computer connected to the internet, control your radio, including transceiving over it. I've got to be careful not to knock off the actual streaming software here. Okay, so you can use that. That's one way of doing it too. These things, the little things from MFJ are not terribly cheap, a couple $100. This is the MFJ 1234. Let's see what they've got. MFJ. Let's go to screen search. MFJ-1234. Okay. This has got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at the way these things are. They've got a gazillion options for these things. The MFJ 1234C. Let's just put the C in there. See if we can find it. 14C. Looks like you got to buy it kind of in parts and pieces. Okay, so you might talk to them and see if they have it. Let's look at DX Engineering. And we'll look at the MFJ. 1, 2, come on. MFJ, why is that not typing there? MFJ 234. Do they even sell it? No, they don't. They don't sell it there. But it is still available from MFJ, so you can get it directly from them. So this is a way, back to the normal view, this is a way that you can connect your radio directly to the internet. Now the 7640, I believe, does already connect directly to the internet. The 7300 is more an entry-level radio, so it does not. Okay, let's see. Whoops, it just ran away from us there. Joseph Rogers, W6CEF, hello from an antique of a ham, turning 80 in July. Well, I turned 71 in July, so getting up there past 70. 70 was a hard one for me. 60 was a hard one for me. 50 was not so bad. But 70 was a hard one for me. 71, you know, because I used to think of my relatives and parents and so on as really old people. Well, they're all gone now, and now I'm the old people. To be 71 in July. Let's see. Jackster0729 says, hello, Dave. Nice to meet you at the Hamvention. Yes. In fact, you were one of the first to congratulate my wife on getting her tech. Jack KC3SIN. Well, congratulations again to your wife for getting her tech. You are a ham radio family now, and have fun. Neil Marsh says you got it. Switzerland, greetings from New Zealand. Hello, New Zealand. Ralph Leland, hi Dave and everyone. K4TA in Fork Union, Virginia. Working and playing with the Davenport says thank you, KD2ZKZ. KI8UM, hello Dave from Patrick in Grand Haven, Michigan. Hello, Patrick. Luciano Gasparini says hello from Luciano PT9KK in Western Brazil. Hello, how are you? It's Western Brazil is well into the Amazon, I believe. You can correct me on that, just where you are. Tim Clark, K1NKX, hi from Maine. Gary Murdoch, hello Dave, it was great meeting you at Hamvention. It was, I got to meet a couple hundred Augies at Hamvention. It was truly wonderful. There were 31,000 people there. This channel can still grow quite a bit to cover all of those people. It says, thank you for your time and all you do for the Augies. Paul Sushariba. Evening from K9SUS, currently sitting in Atlanta to cross hobbies a little. Bill Malman, AB4P, good evening from Gray, Tennessee. Joseph Rogers lived on Reading Road for years. We called Reading Road, not Reading Road, not Reading Road. Reading Road, pronounced the same as the city in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's funny how things get pronounced. There's a town in Colorado that you look at it and it says Buena Vista, good view in Spanish. But the people there call it Buena Vista. And the town to the south of us, city, it's technically a city, Ouray, and I live in Ouray County, but you go to Utah, and there's a town called Ouray that they pronounce Ouray. So it's funny how they do that sort of thing. Okay, Jeff Harris says howdy from KB8NOU, Jeff in Elkins, West Virginia. Glenn Martin, Americans were held hostage. Oh, okay, I see. Thank you for reminding me. That was what happened in Grenada. Okay, in Grenada. And I think the Navy sailed up, and it's not that big an island, and it was, as I recall, if there were any shots fired, there weren't very many. And it just all kind of settled out. Don Zula says, hi Dave, 20-meter shark stick arrived and won't tune below 14.5 megahertz at longest whip length. Should I try a coat hanger of a longer length, without coating of course, or should I look for something else? There's something wrong with the shark stick if it won't tune below 14.5 megahertz. What you may have to do is add a little bit more loading at the bottom. Check out the instructions. I mean, if the thing doesn't work, contact the manufacturer and say, I got to get this thing working on 20 meters. It's sold for 20 meters. It's got to work on 20 meters. But, maybe there's a way of the coil. I assume there's a coil at the bottom of it. It's not got enough turns or something. Paul CVK, that's Australia, 4 DPC. Hi Dave, greetings from Brisbane, VK land. Trust you are keeping well and flying safe. I am flying. Fly again tomorrow. I have soloed. I've got myself a new instructor. The instructor that I had, Mario, went off to follow his dreams at the airlines. And good for him. The guy who owns the little shop there it's Grand Mesa Aviation. He's the guy in charge. He actually owns the outfit. I met with him. I had one flight with him, and I texted him and I said, the chemistry is just not working here. We'll go with someone else. So I've started with the guy I used before, Troy Ball, who is just an incredibly good pilot. He used to be an FAA certified check pilot. He would give check rides. So he's taking me through and telling me just exactly what I need to do and how to do it right and so on. And we'll be continuing that tomorrow. Hi, Dave. Greeting. Let's see. Good evening. I use TeamViewer. Oh, Stephen. Good evening, everyone from WW5V. Electron Fun Factory. I use TeamViewer, free for personal use, for all my remote operation. All you need is a tablet, phone, or laptop to connect to your home machine. No interface, nothing, and it just works. Well, there you go. There's something you can look into. Win for ICOM is the one that I was looking at. See if I can find it here. Win for ICOM. For some reason, it's not here, and I know I paid for it, so it's got to be here somewhere. Let's search for it. Win for ICOM. Okay. It's listed as an app. 0 of 30 days remaining. I thought I purchased it. Well, I'm certainly not going to worry about it right now. Screen. The evaluation has expired. I thought I purchased it. Well, I'll go worry about that someday later, so I can't show it to you right now. Yes, I know my evaluation has expired. Okay. But I'll work on that. A win for ICOM will do that, what you're talking about. Good evening, Dave. Half the way through the ARRL Amateur Extra book, and can't believe how much information you have to remember. The test is not intended to be one step up from general. General is one step up from technician, but it's 4 or 5 steps up to amateur extra. It really is. So, yeah, persevere. Persevere, persevere, persevere. And, of course, I've got videos for all of that. Electron Fun Factory works with any rig already operating on your home computer. Good. Liminal, says Dave, question. I have a bunch of wire and some trees in the backyard. Can I drape an end-fed wire willy-nilly over the trees, roughly along the perimeter of the backyard? Yes, you can. It's called a long wire. You'll need a tuner to use it. You'll need a good counterpoise. So usually what you do with those is you have an outdoor tuner, which you can get from LDG or MFJ, or DX Engineering can put you on the right track for that. So a good ground or something like that, and then just operate that and let the automatic tuner take care of it. Usually you have a little better luck with resonant antennas, and a long wire is not a resonant antenna. It's tuned to resonance by the tuner. You change frequency, you have to tune it again. But a lot of people used antennas like that for a lot of years. They still work. So, okay, let's see. The remote software for 7300 is under optional accessories at the bottom. Okay, let's see. We'll go back to ICOM America. And amateur amateur, let's see down here. Okay, well, let's go to the 7300 and see if there's some optional accessories down here. Additional features. I don't see optional accessories there. Let's see what we got here. Options. Okay. Options. An amplifier, antennas. Here are those remote antenna tuners I was talking about. Cables. Converts 13-pin to 7/8-pin connectors. Okay. Speakers. And here is the... well, let me move this up. The RSBA1 IP remote control software. Okay, so this is their answer. That doesn't click through to anything. That's odd. I don't know how you buy it if you can't click through on it. But anyway, that is the optional software that you can use to, and you can connect to the internet, and from another place with another copy of the software, connect back and use your radio, or allow someone else to use it. Okay, well, thank you for bringing all that to my attention. Let's see, that's all the further we get down. I'm going to put it down further so I can see more comments, and I'm going to go back to live stream. Okay, very good. Gigaparts has 1234B, but C out of stock due to Raspberry Pi shortage. I'm not surprised. We live in an age of shortages, and I don't know that we've got used to that. We are used to living in an age of surplus in America and much of Western Europe, and even Australia and parts of the Far East, used to living in an area of surplus. And now we're living in an era of shortages, and it's going to take a lot of getting used to. Like this right here, it looks like I'm using this really nice water. I did enjoy it the first time I drank from this. I get that nice water, but I reused this bottle for about 2 or 3 weeks. Chuck it and get a new bottle and reuse. And that's what I mean with doing things like that. Let's see. 55 in July. Yeah, I'm going to be 71 in July. Greetings from Gilbert. This is from Kevin Lehigh. Be careful on the highways as it's brutal out there. Yes, that's what I've heard. My daughter will probably go home on Tuesday rather than Monday, just so there'll be a little bit less traffic. Gilbert, Arizona is the home of a very large Mormon temple there. I've heard it's beautiful. I've driven by the outside. I haven't been inside. Let's see. Dave, KE0OG here from Michigan. Love your videos and teaching so much, and it's priceless info. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do, have done, and will do. 73 Homeboy. Yeah. Bill Malman has liked. We've got 56 likes so far. $10 in chat revenue. Don says, thanks for the help. HRO agreed it might be a bad unit. Reached out to Shark Distributing. Maybe I need to send it back to HRO for another. That might be a good idea. Davis K3DHJ says, checking in from Newark, Delaware. Alan T says, hey Dave, trying to get into a homebrew antenna. Would like to build a 70 centimeter quad. Yes. Don't have an EE background. Any recommendations for diving in? Absolutely. The ARRL antenna book. This is the one I use. It's the 23rd edition. I think there's a 24th out now. But this book, it's not thin, has essentially everything you need to know about antennas and transmission lines. And there is ample information in here about how to do cubical quads for HF and for VHF. They work on both. So definitely take a look at that. If you just look on the internet for 70 centimeter cubical quad, well, let's try that. Let's just go up here on the screen and we'll go to 70 centimeter cubical quad. And look, there you go. Okay, there's some YouTube things. Here's something from Gigaparts, Radio Preppers, DX Zone, Papa Alpha 1 Charlie Alpha in the Netherlands, building a homebrew 70 centimeter quad antenna. Okay, he's got pictures of it there and so on. So, yes, absolutely. You can build a cubical quad. You'll find the dimensions there in those articles. At 70 centimeters, it's not going to be hard to construct. You'll probably be using little pieces of balsa wood or something, or 1x1s from Home Depot, which are only about that big around. You can build a nice little unit. I think that would be a fun project to do, Alan. Go ahead and do it. Send me some pictures of it when you get it done. Don Z just heard some software for ICOM radios might not work with Windows 11. Glad I haven't upgraded. He uses Win for ICOM. This computer that I built not all that long ago to be a computer that I can do rendering on, video rendering on very quickly. And it does do that. Does it many times real time. But it will not do Windows 11. There's some kind of strange little device it lacks. Don't know. Let's see. Dave Hussey says, flying is the most fun you can have with your clothes on. It is fun. I do enjoy it. I took one solo trip when I was between instructors. I just went up in the air and circled the valley here, the Gunnison and Uncompahgre valleys. It took me an hour and a half to do a circuit around. I was doing about 80 miles an hour, something like that. Not going very fast, just enjoying the view. And I started to come down further south, but it started to get choppy, and I says, I don't really want to put up with choppy today. So I went back around, had a wonderful time doing that. And it's so nice knowing that I can get in that airplane by myself and solo, just myself, and have a real good feeling that I'll make it back to the ground in one piece. And then, of course, I've got a lot more to do to prepare for the official license exam. So unfortunately, my written is going to expire the end of July. Written's good for 2 years. So now, it's not like I've been studying to fly for 2 years. I've been studying to fly on and off over 2 years. There was an pretty long off period there. So I'm back at it, but that expires, so I'm going to have to take that again. It's sort of like a CSCE. A CSCE is good for a certain period of time. It used to be with the Morse code. You could get a CSCE for the Morse code, and then it was good for a year before you took your written exam. If you didn't take your written exam, the Morse code part expired. Well, it's kind of like that here with the written exam for Sport Pilot. It's I thought it was a very simple test, but I only got 90% on it. 2 questions I blew, just flat blew. I answered them wrong. I knew the right answer and answered them wrong. This book is the equivalent of the license manual for Sport Pilot. And it looks a lot like it inside, except it's got the questions, the answers, the explanations. A lot of the questions make reference to the aeronautical charts and so on. And this is the 2020 edition. And so I've sent off for the new one, the 2022 edition. And I'll study that and go up and take that test again, so I'll have it. The other thing I had to do recently was renew the insurance on that thing. Fortunately, it was the same price as last year. It was still ridiculously expensive. It was the same price as last year, and since we've had quite a bit of inflation since last year, that means the real price of the insurance went down. Let's see. Let's see. Hi, Dave from Dave at KE0OG. Neil Marsh says Don Z Phi on Win 11. Yeah, I don't know what the problem is with Win 11. It's very uppity when it comes to this computer. However, one of my laptops upgraded automatically to it. We have had no problems at all with it. Davis K3DHJ says, speaking of software, Chirp is not working with a new M1 Max. Well, hopefully they'll fix that. Don Zed, not tracking. Neil Marsh says, Don, I'm not a fan of Microsoft messes with the user interface. Once again, yeah, and I don't know why. In my humble opinion, and you all know how humble my opinions are, the epitome of the computer user interface was Win 7. And I think it's gone downhill from there. I can find anything in Win 7. But can't hear. Okay, let's see. Okay. Ron Clark, W2ABZ, says, hi, Dave. I have a 150-foot feed line running from my off-center fed dipole and plan to coil up the excess length in the basement. Do I see any issues? No, I do not. Now, I would make a suggestion to you. I don't know if you've got lightning arresters. I assume You've put a ground rod in right outside your shack. You've clamped a lightning arrestor to that. You have your cable coming through that. Do that. Now, if you haven't, I'd move that coil outside. Coil it up just before it comes in the house, because that will give some inductance there for conducted emissions. I mean, that's just the thing. What you're doing now with coiling it up in the basement is not a problem, because at HF, the fact that you're using RG8X, I'm assuming that's what it is. No, he just says 150-foot feed line. The thing is with Coax, you can coil it up and just leave it there. You can't do that with open wire line. Okay, Optical Man Jeff says RSBA1 costs $160 at DX Engineering. Wow, that's a lot. In my humble opinion, it ought to be free, but, you know, they make their money on the radios. It costs them money to create a new radio. They got to buy all the parts, they got to put it all together, and so on. Software, it costs them nothing for each incremental build. Oh well, they put their costs across it. Rob Horse, great advice for remote 7300. I have the software for the 9700, same for the 7300, works great. I just need a way to connect to the local network. Okay, yeah. The software is running on something, okay? That thing should be able to connect to the local network, whether it's a Raspberry Pi, your home computer, an Apple, whatever, should be able to do that. David, KE0OG adds $10 to the chat revenue. Thank you very much. He says, thanks for your videos. Jeff Harris said, I had a 76-year-old over to the house a few days ago. He's been licensed for 60 years, and he is an extra, very good. Dave, what free text digital modes are in use these days? There are quite a few. Yes, this is Soylent, but it's not Soylent Green. Well, you've got PSK 31, and yes, it is dead because everybody's doing FT8. Your other options are RTTY. There's a number of sound card modes. Like if you have FLDigi, it's got a whole bunch of free text digital modes. There is JS8 call, JS8, the number 8, and CALL. Look that up. That's quasi free text. Okay, yeah, people, it used to be that PSK 31 was just jammed, and now everybody's moved to FT8. And I've noticed also on HF that a lot of what's on there are POTA activations. Parks on the Air, a lot. Okay, Paul C, VK4 DPC from Australia says, I have put up an NFED half-wave, however there is not enough room and I've had to add a horizontal 90-degree dog leg for the last 8 meters. Have 49-to-1 unun. How will the 90-degree bend affect the antenna length? The answer is not much at all. You don't have to run that antenna straight. I did something for the Ask Dave, one of the Ask Dave see if I can figure out which one. Somebody asked me that question. Yeah, this one right here. I finally put them all in a notebook because I couldn't remember what I'd already said. This is a picture of a house with a dipole, and he couldn't run it straight. It was dog-legged, bent in the middle. And I looked at the model of that. I did some modeling and found out that the radiation kind of splits the difference in the angle, but otherwise it acts pretty much like a dipole. And the same will work for you with that NFED half wave. So You're fine. If you can tune it, you're fine. Okay. Twig Doctor sends $20 to chat revenue and says enjoy your videos from KE0OG. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. John Barsland says hello from Fort Collins, N5WMS. You see that clock right there? That clock is connected to WWVB and keeps very accurate time. So thank you up in Fort Collins for sending out those time signals. We Are Sovereign just says ha. Joseph Rogers adds $2 to the chat revenue and adds a little emoticon with the word cool. Well, thank you very much. John Mills says I still use Win 7. Never had a problem with it and no intention to update. The only issue you will have is security. Microsoft is no longer supporting security updates for that. But like I said, I still think Win 7 had the best thought out user interface for a PC. Now, I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to combine the PC, the tablet, all of these kinds of things into one mishmash. And it's sort of, it's sort of like a camel is a horse designed by a committee. That's what ended up with that. I mean, a desktop's a desktop. An iPad's an iPad, And those Windows tablets are just not terribly popular. Okay, Optical Man Jeff says Kenwood has the same type of software and it's free. Good for them. On Lee, good to hear from you. KK7EMW. I can't believe I got a new Yaesu dual band 2-meter 440 HT and FT4XR for $89 and they were in stock. Wow. Very good. We Are Sovereign says really cool videos this week. Thanks. We've been working very hard on those videos. I have an assistant and an assistant 2B, who is the assistant's younger brother. Callum is going off on his Mormon mission at the end of July, early August. And so his younger brother, Aiden, will be my new assistant. So we're doing a lot of overlap so that Aiden can learn how to edit and so on. Kyle Bandy said thank you for answering from KC9 GLR. Ed K6SDW says I've upgraded 3 PCs to Windows 11 and no issues. I've just had the one. This one here, when I do the check, it still talks about some stupid little security device. I don't know what it is. But, it's a very nice machine. It's extremely fast. Can't remember. It's got Core i7 in it. I don't think it's a 9.9. But it screams. But it's Windows 10. There we are. So, that's it. I had to buy Windows 10 for this thing. To buy an OEM version of Windows 10 to apply to this thing. Went in without a problem. Without any problem. But it won't upgrade to Windows 11. Oh, well. Let's see. CL330B adds $10 to the chat revenue and says, I appreciate you, Dave. W0COB. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate what you're doing here, too. Electron Fun Factory says, everyone don't forget, EasyNEC is now totally free. That is true. EasyNEC using NEC2. You can get the one for NEC4, but then you have to pay for NEC4. Whereas the numerical electromagnetic code, I believe made by Lawrence Livermore Laboratories, is a piece of government software. That's NEC. The EZ-NEC wraps a graphical user interface about that, as does 4NEC2 and several other popular wraps around that. The original code was free. It used to be that if you did something for the government owned the copyright, which meant it was free, because the government can't have its own, it can't benefit from its own copyrights. But then they changed it so that if the university puts its own money in, along with the government money, the university can charge a license fee for it, which to me is total hogwash, but that's what they do. So NEC4 costs like 160, 260 bucks or something for that. Okay, Dave Haynes says, Dave, thank you for what you present. This is the first time I've signed into live chat. Dave, KE8, RBY. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you could join. Terrestrial Access Network says, hello from Austin. KN4VTQ, love your videos even in this heat. Yeah, you guys down there along the south have had some heat emergencies. And I had a question from some ham in the Midwest saying that their utility said that there could be brownouts and blackouts this summer, which would be a real problem in the heat. And so what could he do to help? And so I pointed him at ARES and RACES, and this is rule number 1 of emergency service. Prepare in advance. If you are not prepared in advance, stay out of the way. There was that poor ham, I think it was in California, I'm not sure, maybe it was Idaho, who thought he was going to help by using his little Chinese radio to come in on public safety frequencies to tell him about some situation at the airport. They sent the police after that guy. And the FCC proposed the largest fine it could under the circumstances, $32,000 for interfering in a public safety frequency. And I don't care what that ham thought he was doing. He did it wrong. If you want to be part of that sort of thing, join ARES or RACES or whatever your county auxiliary communications is, or Red Cross, or all of these other things. The time to prepare is in advance. If the emergency comes and you're not prepared, it's too late. Now, obviously, that's a plea for having your 72-hour kit ready to go, which I don't. Having your Go kit with your radios and stuff in it, which I don't. I'm not really into this stuff, but a lot of people are and want to be able to serve in emergencies. And if there is a fire and they don't have enough communications, for example, if there are several Red Cross disaster sites for people to go to, they may not have radios enough to put one at every one, so they'll have a ham go to each one to handle health and welfare messages, okay, with the Fire Command Center and with our normal national traffic system. Now you have to, again, prepare in advance for those things. And there are signed memoranda of understanding. They've got all the rules laid out. I will warn you that if you're going to participate in these things, you will have to undergo a rudimentary background check, which means you're going to need to provide a lot of what people consider to be private information so that you can get that background check. What they are looking for is whether you're a child molester or have a history of violence or, you know, something like that. So be prepared for that. I, for many years, held rather high security clearances, and I gave up my privacy to the government so that they could issue those clearances. Now, where did the problem come in? All that information resided at the Office of Personnel Management. And so now the Chinese know more about me than I know about myself, because the OPM lost the bubble on computer security. The Chinese came in and copied it all. Am I peeved about that? Can you tell? Anyway, I haven't had any problems as an issue of it, and as a result of that, the Office of Personnel Management provides me with identity protection stuff. I get a report every month from them about, you know, who's been looking at my credit, who's been doing this, where my email address is showing up and stuff like that, which is nice. You know, it's identity protection. But I'm just peeved that the federal government asked me to give up my privacy and then violated their trust, violated my trust. So, but that's life in the real world, isn't it? And if you want to help, you're going to have to do something, not to that extent, please. Mine was for a security clearance. I mean, I'm bipolar. They actually interviewed my psychiatrist. That kind of thing. This is just simply a police background check. You know, do you have any outstanding warrants? Do you have any unresolved issues with the law? Do you have any history of issues with being around the opposite sex or with children or something like that? It's very easy and quick to do, and I've not done it. So I have had my privacy violated enough, thank you. Okay, so there we go. But if you want to sign up with Aries, Races, Red Cross, etc., there is that little formality that you have to do that was added about 10, 15 years ago. Okay, let's see. Hello from Austin, KN4VTQ. Love your videos, even in this heat. Oh, gosh, it's terrible, I know. And here it is, only 65 degrees here. I didn't fly today because it was supposed to be rainy, and I guess it was. Paul CVK4DPC says, thanks. Smoberdine, greetings from Ohio. I had a great experience during my first field day. Good for you. Good for you. Thanks for your awesome videos. 73 from K8STU. Optical Man Jeff includes $15 and says, thanks, Dave. Always the best way to spend a Thursday evening. Thank you. I very much enjoy these live streams. I feel like there's a connection here. Let's see, Ed said, I went from a 9-to-1 end-fed antenna to a 49-to-1 end-fed half-wave. And regarding any antenna performance, I didn't see any difference at all. There isn't. Because a dipole is a dipole is a dipole. Okay, it's the dipole that does the performance. The 9-to-1 end-fed antenna generally does not tune the antenna as well as the 49-to-1. So what you're going to do is get maybe easier to tune down to a 1-to-1 SWR. You're normally going to get a 1-to-6 to 2 or something like that in there, even with the 49-to-1. But the performance itself comes from the dipole, not the balun. So that's probably why you didn't see any antenna performance different. We are sovereign. Contefinitely, Dell, you have a full production crew going to produce so much quality stuff. Well, thank you. The way I've got it set up right now, and we'll see how long this will work. If Aiden can step up to this, I hope he can. And he shows signs of being able to do it. I talk into the camera, and they take it from there and make the video out of it and get it up. And we try to stay a week or two ahead. So if I'm sick for a couple days or I'm off flying or something, it's not going to be so bad. Okay, Only KK70MW, what's everyone's thoughts on the software that helps decode CW? I'm relearning CW, and I was thinking that the software can help when I miss letters on the air. I just did a video on this very topic. And the answer is that in spite of what people would like it to be, Morse code is not a digital mode. It's an analog mode. And it is made by humans. It's a human mode, made by wetware. It's wetware to wetware kind of software. The problem is that a machine has a real problem interpreting Morse code. One of the things I said is if you get a dit, a space, and a dit, is that E followed by E, or is it a 5, dit, 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 with a dropout in the middle? It's very difficult to tell because Morse code letters are not the same length. That's true on PSK31. Those characters are not the same length either. But there is a very definite way of telling when you're ending one character and going to the next. That is not true in Morse code. Dit, da, da, da. Okay, that's a J. But if you hear did, da, noise crash, da, is that a T or is it a J? And that's the problem that decoding Morse code with a machine runs into. I did my master's thesis on this topic and ran a simulation with Morse code with varying levels of noise, trying to use a technique called matched filters to do machine decoding of Morse code. Now, some decoders do better than others. If you use an artificial intelligence approach, you can probably do pretty good. But the fact of the matter is that machines are not good at decoding Morse code. Now, if it's machine-sent Morse code, yes. I know you've got a CW decoder in most modern radios have them. The 7300 has one. And if it's machine-sent code, like from the ARRL, you can get very nice, beautiful readouts. But when you start getting the human in there, the timing varies a little bit because it's human-sent. Even with a keyer, it becomes a problem. So the best interpreter for Morse code yet invented is right between your ears. Okay, so keep working on it. Yes, it can help when you miss a letter on the air, but you don't want to rely on it because it can go way off into outer space. Now, have I ever made a QSO with somebody going faster than my proper speed, the speed I know? Yes, I have, using the decoding capability in the machine. The 73, the Yaesu FTDX 3000, which is right there, has a pretty good system in it. And yeah, it's a combination of decoding it in my head and decoding it on the screen. And yeah, it can help, and I have done that. I have done that. TPM Trusted Platform Module, I think that's it, yes. Sometimes it's a BIOS setting, but believe me, I've tried everything in the BIOS, and it just can't get it to work. Okay, but Win 10 is working fine. David Haynes says, I really enjoy your videos and follow the live chat. I enjoyed meeting you at Hamvention. All right, but still am trying to get the parts for a rhombic antenna. What you need for a rhombic antenna is first several acres of land. Second, you need some very tall poles, 100 feet, something like that. Third, you need a whale of a lot of wire. And then it's an 800 ohm characteristic impedance, so you're going to have to terminate it in 800 ohms or put the little reactive thing there, but normally terminate it in 800 ohms. And then you're going to need to run 800 ohm equivalent feed line back to the shack to a tuner, and then you will have a whale of a directional antenna that's extremely strong that you can give fabulous DX on as long as that DX is directly in line with that antenna. I have never heard of or seen a rotating rhombic. What people have to do is put up several rhombics, and then that gets many acres and many poles and many antennas, and now we're getting into the realm of what the government can do. Okay, so but you could like put in a rhombic and point it at Europe, say, and get lots of DX into Europe, or point it at Australia, get lots in Australia, whatever you want it to do. There are lots of things that you can do with that. Neil Marsh says, add K6SDW. Installation on a computer made for it isn't the issue. Trying to get any work done is the problem. Once again, MS messed with their user interfaces. I kind of ignore the newer stuff. Like that bit about Win for Icon. They call it an app, so they don't list it with the programs. Really crazy. And I couldn't remember the name of it. I am, after all, almost 71. Fortunately, somebody here reminded me of it, and I was able to go find it. And then I discovered either I've lost the password for it, or I never had a password to begin with, so I have to figure that out. Okay, they really don't. Someone wants, yeah, well, someone with arson, reckless burning at a fire scene. Yeah, it's a very rudimentary check, but they're trying to weed out the obvious. Onley says, KK7EMW, Dave, I got notified by Office of Personnel Management, too, for the same reason. She was in the Air Force. I'm saying she. I don't know that that's a female name. And I'm looking at the icon there. It's a dinky little icon, but this is a 4K screen, and it's not a woman, it's a man with a white shirt and tie and suit coat on, and I apologize for that. My first wife was Chinese, and I got that straight, and now I'm embarrassed. I'll have to get this thing set up to paint my face red for doing that. My humble apologies. But was in the Air Force too. OPM was the weak backdoor that they exploited. It was one of those cases where the people in charge aren't nerds. They don't understand computers. They think the IT people are a pain, because all they ever hear out of IT is pain, because that's all that comes out of IT is pain. And they ignore the money that they need to put into IT to make it secure, because they'd rather put it into some flashy project they can show off to their constituents. Politics. So, anyway, on my apologies. I really am. I mean, oh gosh, I am embarrassed. I'll be embarrassed for a week. Well, life goes on. I do apologize. Don't direct a missile this way. See, Bush pilot KI-5 RTM worked as a private contractor with security clearance at Dyess Air Force Base during the mid-'80s. Was a math physics instructor and enjoys the program, so thank you. Russell K4QPR. Hi, Dave, from Laverne, Tennessee. I did VE testing on field day, but no radio. Well, good. I'm glad you did the VE testing. We did, I don't think we did any. We did have a go-to station and had some people playing with that. I'm the one that has to put the submission together, so all the parts and pieces I think are here, so I can start putting those in. Sinister Pisces says, good evening. Glad to hear you like your new instructor for your pilot's license. Now that you've started soloing, how much practical is left before your license? Just hours in plane? No. No, I've got to go back and review everything. And we're doing that. We're basically using the book as a checklist, like flying around squares, flying S-curves along a line, steep turns, stalls, stall recovery, all of this kind of thing. I've got to go back now. I haven't done that stuff in months. So I've got to go back and do a good refresher. And that's what he's going to do with me. And since I can solo, we'll do things together, and then I'll go practice them by myself. We'll do some more things together, and I'll go practice them by myself, and so on. And we'll try and very focused on, let's get that license. One of the problems is they make the standards the same as for a private pilot. And sometimes it's a little harder in the lighter planes. They get bounced around more by the wind. And I've had my plane do a sudden 1,000-foot jump because of an updraft. And there's no inertia in that airplane to speak of. So, and I don't know. That's why you don't fly next to the ground, because if you get a downdraft, you're in trouble. So, let's see. Ed K6SDW FL Digi software does a decent job decoding CW. You got to read between the lines, and it's free. Yeah, it does. I mean, you can play with these things, and you've got to get the tone pitch matched. And here's a problem with the Farnsworth method of sending. It's to send the characters quickly, but put lots of space in between. One of the things the software is trying to do is determine the speed of the code. So da could be dit. Is it an I or an M? Depends on the speed. So if you do Farnsworth where you send something fairly quickly, then you wait, then you send another character, the software keeps going back and forth on the speed. Are you sending fast or slow? And it gets it very confused. So, yeah, you can try it. Jedi of the Republic, exactly, Dave. Analog to digital conversion has been something they've been trying to improve for a long time. It's good, but not there. It's very good. I actually studied some of this when I did my master's. I mean, they were digging into Z transforms and things like that back in those days, and you could do brick wall filters even back then. In fact, when I use an analog radio that's just using an analog high pass or low pass filter, it's very frustrating because you're trying to notch out a strong signal and it won't do it. Whereas the digital, you go up to 900 hertz, you can hear the signal. At 901, you can't. It's gone. That's just the amazing stuff that they can do. Okay, we're running overtime here. Not quite yet. Hello to you all from Southeast Arkansas, from Michael Cade, KI5SPA, David Hand, WB4HYP, airplane gas is expensive. My Warrior at 8 gallons an hour. Woo! I run closer to 3 gallons per hour in my little plane. But still, that's $15 an hour for gas. Because it's 5, no, it's more like 6. I think it's above 6. So maybe $20 an hour to run the gas for that thing. However, the motorhome only gets about 8 miles to the gallon, and we put close to, over 2,000 miles on that motorhome to and from Dayton, and plus our little side trip up to Kirtland and Talmadge, the CDX Engineering, and the Mormon Temple up there. And my goodness, it was expensive. I'd go fill up at a pump and stop at either $75, $100, or $125. I'd just stop. So I'd pull the thing out, reset the machine, and start over again so I could get the rest of the tank in there. I'm grateful my credit card company didn't disallow the second one, saying, hey, you just got gas, or are you getting gas again? I have had credit card companies catch if I buy gas in Colorado, and then about 2 hours later, somebody bought gas with my card in Florida. And I got a phone call. Said, did you just buy gas in Florida? I said, no, I did not. I'm in Colorado. Okay, your card's canceled. We'll send you a new one. Bye. And I'm going, what do I do? So now I keep a Visa credit card off to the side, tucked out of the way for those times, and it never fails to happen. I never have a card for more than about 1.5 years, and it gets compromised and canceled. So we got to get through the rigmarole of getting a new one. So, and it had happen to me going to Dayton. I ended up having to use that credit card all the way. So, but it worked. We got it done. That's an example of preparing in advance for an emergency. Okay, I prepared in advance. I had that second card. Okay. You can use RooFast software to install Windows 11 without TPM Free and easy to do. Interesting. Several acres of land sounds very expensive. Yeah. Well, the rhombic antenna takes, I'd say, a minimum of 3 acres to install one rhombic antenna pointed in one direction. They're just big. They're huge. They're multi-band. They're non-resonant. You have to use a tuner. But man, do they perform. Extremely low angle, almost to the horizon according to the modeling software. Now, if you read the old books on the rhombic, they say you can compute the elevation angle, and it's a little higher than what I got with the modeling software. But let's see. Several acres of land. The FLR9 elephant cage, yes, I saw one of those when I was in Germany once. They're essentially, they look like a giant coliseum, and they're the equivalent of a rhombic that you can switch into any direction. Warren Baker says, best wishes. On Lee, that's okay, Dave. My first Air Force commander was giving me an award, and he says, on, where has she come up here? Oh, I bet he was very embarrassed too. But congratulations on the award. Domino Storm, 147 contacts for field day this year as a 1 Delta. 22 was using RTTY, which I'm more proud of. Yes, absolutely. I'm amazed at how much more efficiently RTTY works over CW. It really is quite noticeable, especially at 200 watts. Yes, the RTTY people have contesting down to a fine art. And you do it all with macros. Anand says he will give FL Digi a try. Ralph Leland, 73, everybody, K4ATA. Domino Storm says, I discovered a net that meets on 60 meters. Propagation is just like an 80-meter NVIS antenna. Yes, it works very well for NVIS. Zachary White says, really enjoy your videos and articles. What are the best resources if my club wanted to install a web SDR? Well, a web SDR, there's 2 ways of doing it. It's just a receiver, and you can connect and distribute. And the other way you can do it is actually put a radio in there that people can both transmit and receive on. I'm not an expert in the area. I'll have to defer to someone else on that. Zachary is K4TP. Tom Frericks, KE0OG from the Front Range, says at least one of the California VOA sites has several rhombics, but they were aiming for the Far East, so they didn't have to move. Very good. Mike Oswald, got to go cook dinner. Thank you. Kevin Snow, do ground wires have to be 360 degrees around an antenna? Radials, you mean? Will 180 degrees work? My house is in the way. The answer is yes, but. Yes, it will work, but it will make the antenna a little bit directional in the direction of the radials. Okay, a little bit. You'll still get coverage all the way around, but it will tend to favor what's away from the house. Okay. Dave, the last 3 years of high school, there was a young woman. His name was Elliot. She had to go to the draft board in person to prove she actually was female. Oh, dear. TV account, just wanted to say your channel is one of the best resources we hams have. Thank you very much. Electron Fun Factory, what do you think of the new 100-watt limit for the ARRL contest? Well, most rigs these days are 100 watts. So, I mean, that's fine. It just means use barefoot, and it keeps the big, powerful stations from having an unfair advantage. WebSDR, I use OpenWebRX. Well, there's your answer to Zachary, is OpenWebRX. So that will work for you. So again, I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG. I ask you to watch my videos. It's at youtube.com/Dave Casler, one word, DAVECASLER. And also, please check out dcasler.com/ reference for the reference station, /training for the tech videos, /support for ways that you can help support the channel funds, and also /giveaway to learn about the giveaway and how to enter that. And with that, I'm going to say 73 to everyone, and we will see you next week.